to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thanks, boys. Back again, the Fantasy Footballers. Jason Moore is here.
Yes, I am.
Mike Wright, present, accounted for, the Fantasy Hitman himself.
Yes.
Far less tired than Jason because he didn't play golf this morning.
That is also correct.
I'm Andy Holloway. Welcome in.
It's every morning now.
It's been...
You really did.
Like, Mike is on the outside looking in. He can
Yeah.
give the best commentary on what's happened
I mean,
in the golf obsession. You did say it was your total and complete identity
It's just who I am.
I mean, normal
You're a
people
golfer.
on the outside would call it a psychotic transformation from never, like, occasionally we'll mention golf and we'll talk about it for a little bit, to playing. Every day.
It is literally every single
And
day.
if you
so
don't
far.
play, then all of a sudden we get a message, stopped at the range on my way home. And you're like, oh, okay. He's like, it's 8 p.m. I'm at the simulator place, guys. You're like, where is your family?
I'm taking my son to lessons on Saturday. What are you talking about? I'm bringing him along. My daughter went golfing this morning.
That's the way you do
this
it.
is insanity.
That's what we did with fantasy football. I was like,
Jason went golfing.
I gotta find a way to make money on this.
Listen
It's
to
just
me.
too good.
Jason went golfing on Mother's Day with his wife.
Yeah. I don't know how I got that one to work, but I did.
Psychotic might be the right word.
Listen, the best advice we can give
But
the
this
Foot
is
Clan
who you
is
are.
if you have something you like, find a way to make it something you have to do. You're living, something your family is required
I don't
to
think you're
participate
quite
in.
ready to make a living on golf.
I'm close, man. PGA.
You know what? You're
clocked
making
out.
the living of others.
Yeah,
The-
I am
the
supporting.
teachers,
I am
the
supporting
manufacturers.
the entire industry, especially the putting industry.
And when you get into golf, all of a sudden your reels and the ads you get served,
Oh my gosh.
it's a big market.
My algorithm knows who I am.
Yeah, your
Yes.
identity.
to my core.
We have a great show for you today. We are jumping into, a good quick question. We're looking at stat surprises from our individual projections for the 2026 fantasy season. We've all gone through and made our first draft heading into the, soon-to-be-released UDK here in less than 2 weeks. And so we're going to mention a few of the names that popped out in terms of, hey, I didn't realize, we go out and we project every player individually, their line for the season, the games played, every bit of their projection, and then we go look at the rankings, and sometimes we're really surprised. So
in both good ways and bad ways. Like sometimes it's like, oh wow, I didn't realize I was so bullish here. I know there's one that I'm going to bring up here in a second.
Sometimes you go, uh-oh.
I go, yeah, I don't like this. This is not good.
So, yeah, we have some of those names we're going to bring up real quick. We're going to give away the signed James Cook jersey. A winner has been selected. His name is Brad Davis. Brad Davis.
Oh, Bradley Davis.
Congratulations. I think the team has already emailed you or will momentarily. And you've won a signed James Cook jersey. James Cook,
Congratulations.
the NFL's rushing.
Yeah.
The rushing leader. I forgot about that drop.
Yeah.
That was a little frightening.
Oh, man.
But yeah, the UDK is just a couple weeks away, less than that. You can check it out, ultimatedraftkit.com. Pre-order pricing will end when it's no longer a pre-order,
Well, because then it's just order price.
It's just ordering.
Yeah.
So quick question of the day, though. Let's start with Jason. Stat surprises in the UDK. You went through, you looked at all the names and numbers.
So 3 names that stood out to me, basically different than I think what consensus is, for better or worse. Mike Evans, Derrick Henry, and Luther Burden III. Mike Evans was high. He was my
Luther Burden, the 30th wide receiver, Jason.
I know, man.
Disgusting.
This is the one. This is the one where I see it and I
feel
go,
bad.
So here's the truth. I am terrified of it. I just literally yesterday watched more Luther Burden film. The way he moves is incredible. I love the guy. and then I go and I look at the Chicago Bears and I stat them out, and Rome is going to be involved, and I don't think this is a world where you've got Caleb Williams throwing for 4,600 yards. I don't think that's the identity of the team. I don't think that is the Bears' normal method. I don't know if that's in Caleb Williams, cup of tricks this year.
The cup of tricks.
Yeah. Well, it's not a bag. He's got his cup right now.
Or a
and
bowl,
so
because those are for kids.
I have him over 100 targets, 6.5 touchdowns, and it's not a bad line, but it's certainly if the Bears turn out the way that I view the Bears turning out, it's going to be very difficult for him to capitalize on where you're drafting him way ahead of that.
So your three numbers, I don't think you said them all. Where
So
do you have
Mike
these
Evans,
guys
I've
ranked?
got at 21. That's above where people are drafting him, where most consensus rankings are. I believe he pairs perfect with Brock Purdy.
ADP, I'm seeing 24 right now, so you're above ADP.
Brock Purdy throws a good deep ball and throws touchdowns, and Mike Evans can do those two things as good as anyone. He took
He
the money.
He doesn't throw them.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to be factual.
You're on fire, Mike. And, I think it's a perfect pairing. They really need him, especially with George Kittle, Juwan Jennings being gone. Like, there is huge opportunity there.
Yes.
And he turned down a contract to go take it. So I believe in Mike Evans this year. And then the other one was
I believe it's a perfect pairing between their injury staff and Mike Evans.
Yeah. He's like,
no, if I go over there, no one's going to be mad if I miss 4 games.
Yeah.
It's
That'll be
expected.
the least amount missed by the team.
and then the other one, we talked about this on the mock draft, but I've got Derrick Henry at 6, which is not outrageous at all, where he is being currently drafted, dropping into the 3rd round in a lot of leagues. I get it. He's old, but it's a very light depth chart there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Not a depth
Yeah,
chart.
where's your yes?
And they're gonna be a team that wins a lot
We've
of
been here
games.
before when you have made weird things with your throat, and then David Johnson was never the same.
Charts away, all right.
Yeah. So those were 3 guys that stood out to me as
Goodness.
like, okay, I guess I'm really high on Evans and Henry, and I'm scared about Luther Burden.
Yeah, I mean, the stats are the stats, even if that means you hate somebody now. A couple names that jumped out. I have Bo Nix at 8, which is 6 spots ahead of ADP.
Belief in the bounce back.
I just think the amount. I think
Waddle helps.
Yeah, Waddle helps a lot. Last year was weird. I get it. I feel like it's make or break to some degree for Bo Nix to take a step forward. Just the way I statted it out, he ended up at 8. I was a little shocked. I'm not like the biggest Bo Nix fan, but
It's so crazy. He finished last year as the quarterback 6.
yeah.
And it just feels like, no, he didn't, because it was all so –
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
3
he's being
games.
drafted way below. I mean, there were a lot of injuries last year at the quarterback position, too. Players that were – Jaden Daniels never was out there. These guys that, like, Joe Burrow didn't play a full season. So I think he wouldn't have finished at 6, right, with the points per game. On the same team, I've got R.J. Harvey 14 spots behind ADP.
Yeah, take that.
R.J. Harvey really low.
We just recorded – so we're in the middle of recording the 100-player profile videos for the Ultimate Draft Kit, which those are exhausting but worth it. If you have the UDK, make sure you watch through these. They are very educational for all the relevant players.
And visually upgraded.
and
with
visually
Magic
amazing.
Mike's wall back here.
We were not kind to R.J. Harvey as a group.
No, I mean, the team – oh, gosh.
I knew if I said it, you would put it.
Yeah, those listening at home.
The
have no
neon
idea what's
sign.
going on.
We need one when I could say you could throw it up real quick.
R.J. Harvey
or the
had
shredded guys.
so much opportunity to secure the leading role last year, and then we came into the offseason, and I understand the numbers. Enough volume equals numbers, no matter who you are. But the efficiency, the advanced metrics, bad for R.J. Harvey. They spend the offseason flirting with every free agent running back. They draft Jonah Coleman. They sign J.K. Dobbins. The patience of Sean Payton is it's not long. So I think that was a surprise to see how low I had him. I've got Mahomes at 20. That feels weird. I'm not sure exactly where his ADP is. I think it's 12. So well below ADP there. And then Jameson Williams. I have him at 11.
No one is surprised about that.
I know you're not surprised. That's way above. Look, from I think week 7 on, 81, for 1,408 was the pace. I know Laporta wasn't there. Jamo's a special player. He did a lot with a little. The volume increase that happened once they changed offensive coordinator play calling from Morton to Campbell. Campbell has such a heavy hand in this offense. We'll see what happens, but I like it. I like the opportunity for Jameson Williams. I think he's still going to be a value. I think people are too down on him.
And the rankings I'm about to talk about, this is how you know when we go in we do our projections of how we see a team shaking out, that we aren't just saying, hey, I like that guy, and then I'm going to move him up, or I don't like that guy, I'm going to move him down, because I currently live in the upside down where I've projected Treveyon Henderson, player I love. I've projected DeAndre Swift, player I have not said very kind things about. And Swift is so much higher than Treveyon Henderson. I have him as a mid RB2. I don't see any way it doesn't happen. Meanwhile, Henderson's this graphic is great.
It makes you miserable.
I hate that they're there. And I went I've triple checked. I've gone into Henderson, and you're like, how? Is there anything that where I'm like
the accountant with the
yes? I'm like, oh,
double check the math.
Half a target share here, half a rush percent here. It doesn't change that I have Swift projected for a much stronger fantasy football play than Henderson. Henderson is like Luther Burden. Things could go so right for that player, and then they're just going to be top-tier options. But the way I see the Patriots shaking out and the Chicago Bears, the Bears' offense is going to be they're going to be even better this year. Imagine that offense, and Caleb Williams completes, 63% of his passes. What is that?
You're asking a little too much.
But how good is that team then?
That team would be good. It is ironic because I think the team, the Bears, if people are hearing me down on Luther Burden, I think the Bears offense is going to be outstanding. Luther Burden, a big part of that, but there's so many talented players there, and Swift will be a huge beneficiary.
Yeah, Mike he's really in it with this whole situation.
I hate it, but this is what it is, man.
So, yeah,
play the market.
You're high on Swift, lower on Treveyon than you'd like to be.
Yes.
And, that's another one of we did Treveyon's video for the UDK. There's 100-plus player profile videos. We did Treveyon's, and it was like we have to acknowledge the real situation for each of these players. How many people are they sharing the backfield with? What's the true upside based on their offensive line, the chance these teams are around the goal line? I mean, there are a lot of discussions. We did Quinshon Judkins as well, who, we had some video come out. He's looking pretty good in his recovery right now, but talking through the Browns and that offense. So definitely check them out in the UDK. Let's talk news.
News and notes from around the league.
Guess who's back?
Rashee Rice violated his probation by testing positive for marijuana. He has been ordered to serve 30 days in jail, which he was already going to have to serve. So
that is a point of clarification that we can share for people that we have.
That wasn't new. Basically what happened was he had been ordered through his last legal trouble situation, the
freeway incident.
The freeway incident. He was ordered to serve 30 days in jail, but he had optionality as to when he would serve those 30 days by violating his probation, because his probation stipulated no illegal substances.
And in Texas,
it's an illegal substance, so he had to follow one rule. He couldn't do it, and so the judge basically said, "Well, guess what? You go,
to jail.
You go serve your 30 days right now." We also found out he is recovering from a cleanup surgery on his right knee
that he just had.
Yeah,
so he'll be recovering in jail.
Yeah,
he'll be rehabbing in jail and missing all the practice time with the team.
Does he get conjugals from doctors?
Okay. What?
He's got to be rehabbing.
I wouldn't. That's not what they'd call them, Mike. And I don't know if you know what that means.
Man, I sure hope not.
I hope you don't know what that means.
Oh.
And no.
Woo! It's gonna be a good show.
Maybe he's close with some PTs.
That's too close. Matthew Betts, our injury expert, talked about the fact we knew that in 2024 he had the season-ending knee injury, the LCL, hamstring, and PCL, right? And this surgery, I guess, is to remove loose debris. It's a concern for, according to Betts, a cartilage injury, which can be common with the previous one he suffered. So legal, medical, and really
and mental
and decision making.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's not someone that you want to rely on. Also, contract. Now, for this season, we'll find out if a suspension comes from this. The NFL already looked in, said they weren't going to previously suspend him, but now there is new information violating the parole. He could end up missing games. We'll find out as we come along. However, I think that he will still be good for fantasy this year. I have him on our main dynasty league, and I can't.
Is that why you think that?
No. I cannot wait until he is scoring a lot of fantasy points in week 5 or week 6, and I am going to do everything in my power to move on. I don't want
because
from a
you
dynasty,
want the next shoe to drop.
Exactly. It's not like he can't get out of jail and make another decision that is worse. And then he has a longer stint. He is so fragile. Has no contract for next year, is team dependent. I think if he goes and signs somewhere else and isn't with the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes thing, I don't know that his skill set just applies to every team. So from a dynasty perspective, I'm terrified. From a redraft perspective, this is not good, but I still think he'll be
we'll see,
very valuable.
Because the Shield, they don't like when players show up in the news like this, even though it was not an additional punishment for Rice. This is now like just flaring it up.
Was
again.
This 4 different incidents? I mean, he even though he didn't get punished for the last one that got like dropped or whatever, he's still in the news for something
it's
off the field, and it's disappointing and frustrating. And I mean, I was like, he was ranked very high. I took a couple games off just as a kind of a hedge against the risk of the next decision and the fact he could get a suspension for a game. He could get it for 2 games. He could be dealing with this medical injury, where it slows him down. I had been trying to trade for him in redraft in our league of record. And thank goodness these 2 gentlemen to the left of me weren't willing to take a trade offer or even send a counter, because they could have been out of Rashee Rice for big money that I would never pay now. But, there's your Rashee Rice update of the day, and I hope we don't get to have to keep giving them. In that
I
vein.
mean, just like touchdowns only would be great.
Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
He'll be ready to play in week 1, according to Cam Skattebo. I mean, he's funny. I mean, Jackson Dart did come out and make a comment about the offense being run first. That's one of the things we talk about in the UDK about Jackson Dart when we were debating the merits of him as a breakout candidate. That's how I saw this offense. That's why with Harbaugh taking over versus Dable, that's my one little cautionary worry about this Jackson Dart. How do you protect Jackson Dart from himself? A little bit. Like you do run the football.
And the ball off to Skattebo. His quote was, "We're going to keep giving it to Skattebo until they can stop it," which last year people couldn't stop it.
So it's just interesting to see what that offense is going to look like in New York, because they're probably not starting the year with a healthy Malik Neighbors. They lost Wandale. They brought in Isaiah Likely. And then Cam Skattebo seems like he's on the way back.
Well, I mean, he said he was going to get 2,000 rushing yards this year.
He did. But he did like fantasy football math on that.
Yeah.
He's like, I got 400 yards on 100.
Did he do a 17-game projection?
He did.
Yeah.
Cam. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to call into the show.
Yeah, it's great.
Give us some analysis.
Well, you may have a chance to chat with him soon. Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix splitting first-team reps, just like you want your quarterback position to do.
All right, who wins? Call it now. Week 1.
Tua.
Mike?
Week 1, Tua.
Penix.
Cool. All right, let's move on. I don't want to answer that question.
Well,
that's brutal.
I could have said Tua and you wouldn't have to, but
okay, well
I said Penix, so you have to answer it now.
Then I will say I think Tua wins. I think he's the better quarterback.
All right, we'll take a break and come back with some mailbag. Man, yeah. Haves and have-nots in the quarterback area, right? The story of the NFL. Back in a moment.
Mailbag.
Yeah. All right, we are into the mailbag answering your questions. Looks like we got a voicemail question to start us off. If you want to send your question into the show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button, Or you can dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Let's kick it off.
What's up, ballers? I was wondering if it has ever come up for you guys or what your opinion is on creating AI fake news posts about players and posting them in league chats to tank people's perceptions and values on the player in order to trade for them. Not saying I do this, but it has come up. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Thanks.
A whole new.
So
the first half
it's
of
not
this,
whole new because
yeah,
we've had
done this
Photoshop. There's ways that you can, like just on your screen, edit a website and their headlines. That has been done several times
to great joy
by us, but it's always so far out of the realm of possibility that you don't. It's not like so and so sprains ankle out 4 to 6 weeks. You're like, you can't.
No, that's full bush.
Do that.
Yeah, that's on the same level of like a player tears his ACL and then the next day you're like trying to trade him and make sure the other person doesn't know it happened. Like, it's funny.
This would be worse than that. You are making up the lies. So have fun with your AI and your fake stuff.
You're like, abducted by aliens.
Let it be fun, because that can be enjoyable.
I mean, over the years we have joked that we should make an alternate podcast that gives the opposite advice that you could give to your friends.
Yeah.
But no, fake news, as funny as that might be, I don't think we're in on that.
As long as it's funny. It has to be satire. Not just sort of might be real.
Yeah. Entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
We got an Instagram question. What is the sneakiest trade that you have done or influenced to benefit yourself?
Well, I know mine. I got 2 trades. One awesome, one terrible. The ridiculous one I didn't make with you, Andy, for Saquon.
Like sneaky.
But sneaky, I traded a guy for a 5th-round pick in our league of record.
Oh my gosh!
You know the one. There was some news.
Just lay out some news.
There was
crumbs.
some news coming out about maybe this player.
This was over a decade ago, right?
So it was a while ago, but Aaron Hernandez.
Oh my gosh!
Might or might not have killed someone. We don't know. The news was looking bad. He might get arrested. I'm like, and everybody saw this news. This wasn't me pulling something over the wool on someone's eyes, but I was like, I'm out. I'll take anything. And I traded him for a 5th, and I think it was like the next day he was just arrested and never got out of jail again.
Yeah.
That's sneaky.
There are ripcord moments. I did it last year with Joe Mixon in the offseason.
Oh,
yes, you did.
You did.
That's a good one. That's a great example.
Oh, that one was the worst.
I got a 6th, and it felt bad because he was a keeper. But when the bread trail starts and I saw where it was going.
Yeah, those were full slices of bread.
The Hansel and Gretel are about to get cooked.
I still feel bad. That was my former co-manager that just took over a new team.
Oh man!
And now I tried to trade with him.
Teaching lessons.
Tried to trade with him this offseason. He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, no, not after what you did to me with Mixon. I'm like, I didn't know.
You did that to yourself.
I didn't know. I didn't get a 1st. I got a 6th. But it was better than what Mixon put up.
Which was nothing.
We'll say,
I mean, they're
trading guys who, after you trade them, never do another thing feels pretty good.
And bad. Good and bad. Look, the sneakiest thing that ever happened was in this office.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
between these two gentlemen.
Yeah, I mean, you've got and already Al Borland's pointing at Papa Josh as though he's not involved. But I mean, those of you that have been around for a while, you'll remember. Those that are new, let me introduce you to the story. I came up with a 3-way trade for Jamar Chase in the middle of the season. And I went through and I, dotted my I's and crossed my T's and I got it to where it was just perfect for all 3 parties.
Right.
And I introduced it to these guys and we're all talking about it. And somewhere along the way, after I came up with the complicated framework of a 3-team trade, which is very hard to do, one of these guys whispers to the other, let's just cut Andy out of the whole deal.
And they did.
And I saw that trade go through.
Wouldn't that make your part of the trade truly indispensable or dispensable. It was like you weren't needed. What do you remember?
That's what
Bingo,
they
Mike.
decided.
Bingo.
That's
do
what
you
they
even remember
decided.
like what the trade originally was?
No, Mike. All I
Okay.
remember is how mad I was
It's
when the trade went
understand.
through, and I thought the trade went through. I got the alert in Sleeper, and I was certain it was the trade that was in Sleeper that we were all like.
you
two
were
of us
excited to see your trade.
because on a three-way trade you have to all three parties
Yeah.
have to, and two of us had already hit the button on yes.
I
So you
imagine-
see the alert, and I'm like, I see the names, I see Chase, and I'm like, I got him.
Yeah, that's based off of your other Jamar Chase trade. It would have been you get Jamar Chase and you trade away nothing. And then
No, don't poison the well of this trade with my other exploits, okay? My other exploits were ridiculous.
Speaking of other exploits, I thought what you were going to say is the sneakiest is way back in the day when you shared news with Mike
when I undercut him.
that you were getting was it Calvin Johnson or
Yeah.
someone?
Bro,
And then
that
Mike
was
goes-
Mike's worst.
And then he
Yeah.
trades for him. He's like, "Oh, he's available."
I tell Mike I have a trade for Calvin Johnson on, like, I was like, I don't want to tell you this, but
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you it. And we were at a flag football game, and,
And
then
I
go home.
was not interested at Calvin Johnson.
No, and I'm just sharing with my buddy the trade I'm about to make, and I go home, and Calvin's traded.
Well,
To Mike.
many hours later, where
Same night.
I'm just saying you had your chance to close the deal, and then I'm like,
Oh, hogwash.
I was like, this would be pretty funny, and then it was not funny. It was not funny.
See,
It
even-
also ruined my season. So
yeah, that's for the best, and theirs,
And theirs. I'm
their
telling-
season too. I won the title that year, so
Yeah.
eat it. I'm still mad about it. Kyren Williams question from C. James. What's up, ballers? Am I a fool for being scared about Kyren this year? He has been the consistency king. We have actually talked through this amongst ourselves recently. You're not a fool for. I don't think you're a fool for feeling
for
scared.
having to be scared of Kyren, I don't think you need to be that far, but to
nervous.
to have some concern about what really happened in terms of the percent of running back attempts for Kyren at the beginning of the year. There was a clear shift where his was going down and Corum was going up, and Corum was playing well. It wasn't like they're trying out their third-round pick and he's out there failing. He was producing for the Rams. So I'm not completely scared away from drafting Kyren, but the timeshare is more real, and there is a chance that it becomes even closer this year.
And I see the fact that Blake Corum was good, was more involved in the second half of last year. However, Kyren is their primary starter. He is going to play the majority of snaps. I do not believe this will be 50-50. And if you look back at the end of last year, where the timeshare was more shared, just the last 10 games after that bye week, Kyren Williams' pace was 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns, plus the passing work. Like, Corum doing well did not equal Kyren not doing well. Kyren's a really good player that they have paid a lot of money to be their starter.
I would just say that, I mean, it is a math equation, though. Like, if you do have lower opportunity, you have to have more efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we saw during that stretch. I mean, Mike the other day pointed out the change in opportunities, or in terms of, like, what was it? Snap percentage?
Yeah, it was the running back attempts.
Running back attempts. It changed quite a bit, but Kyren became more efficient in that span. He was actually low efficiency before the changeover happened. It does require that to maintain itself, or touchdowns to go way up because Adams is not getting as many, or, there's a number of ways, more involvement in the passing game. There are ways you can turn the dials to where, okay, I don't get as many rushing attempts, but I'm still as successful for fantasy. But it is something to watch. I mean, I'd rather have an offseason where there aren't rumors that my starting running back could be in a 50-50 timeshare.
Right.
You don't have to believe the rumors. I like situations where they're impossible to be made. That's not one of them.
Counter argument, I really like when I get value when dumb rumors say that there's going to be a timeshare and he drops to the third round, and then it's like,
man.
I've just got a guy that's a top 10 running back again, double-digit touchdowns again on the best or one of the best offenses in the league.
The first 2 years of Kyren, it was a 37% and a 38% workhorse, as in, so the percent of teams, targets and running back attempts. That dropped to 30% in this past year. So an 8% drop. 30 is still fantastic.
Yeah, it's still a very
Snap
good.
percentage from 87 to 68.
I care more about the the work is 30%. If he stayed there, then Kyren will be he'll crush at where his ADP is. But if that dips down into the mid-20s, all of a sudden it's not looking so great.
Kyren right now is the RB 15 in terms of
so
ADP.
the risk is there.
All right,
Or it's like it's baked into the ADP.
But to answer the question, I don't think you're a fool for feeling nervous about how it's going to shake out. But scared is an overplay. They'll be scared. Just
right.
having, pay attention to it. It's tough because you don't really recommend in those situations go out and get Blake Corum. Because what happens is the worst case scenario here isn't really, like you're going to have to pay more for Corum than you would a normal handcuff type of backup, right? So
Corum might be just playable this year.
So to that
we'll
point,
see.
you can't really go out and have both because then you could get in a situation where you just don't know which one to start, or you would never start both on the same week. It's a little weird. I remember Seattle had running back rooms with Carson and Penny and those guys that it was in that boat where it was tough. So just something to be aware of. Ben writes in, dynasty follow-up question, would you prefer Bucky Irving or Kyren Williams in a dynasty?
Man, dynasty?
I mean, Bucky is what, 22 or something?
So Kyren will be turning 26 this year.
He's 23. And Bucky will turn
24. So the age is not terribly different. The running back kind of cliff that we talk about of when they're 27, this is kind of the peak value you'll be able to get. They may have a couple more years of production, but if you're going to get out, that's kind of when you got to do it. I think I'm going to take Kyren there.
I think I am as well. I know I'm the Kyren apologist, but he's got 3 years left on his contract. They could technically get out after 2, but that's enough time where you're going to have a real valuable piece.
I'm just looking. Kyren sitting at – I've got Bucky quite a bit higher.
In Dynasty?
Yeah. Our consensus startups have Bucky higher.
Yeah, but I'm moving that right now because having just thought about it, I'd take Kyren.
Yeah, it's window versus, potential. I think you could definitely end up in a situation where when this season's over, I think it'll be a very clear decision. Let me put it that way. Right now it seems murky. I think and I'm not saying I know which answer it will be, but I think when this season ends, it will be obvious. Because either Kyren's going to continue doing what he's been doing and you're going to have 4 years of it, or Bucky's going to step up into the role, or Bucky's going to fade away.
Right.
And I think that's the general fear because you asked this question at the beginning of last year. It's Bucky easy for everybody.
Absolutely.
So that's an interesting one. So good question there, Ben. Instagram question from Maddie Wills. Full PPR question. Is James Cook or CeeDee Lamb a better keeper in a full PPR?
So 33 receptions for Cook this past year. 32 the year before. So, I mean, with Brady at the offense, that's probably right on target, mid-30s. I think the PPR would PPR, I'm going to take CeeDee.
I mean, being a keeper,
I
think a keeper league, not a dynasty. I view this as basically which player would you draft first? If you're on the clock in a mock draft, are you taking James Cook or CeeDee Lamb first, right? That's the only thing that matters. I don't want people to get too caught up with age or position in a keeper league.
Oh, I'm just thinking of this year only.
Yeah, so this year, which one are you taking first?
In the PPR, I think I would stick with CeeDee.
I do lean that way as well. I mean, I always love having a stalwart number one running back. I mean, if you ask this question, throw some other names in there for Cook. Where does the line get drawn? Because Cook's probably around 6 in our rankings. Like if it's Genty or CeeDee this year, who do you take?
CeeDee.
If it's Jonathan Taylor or CeeDee this year, who do you take?
Jonathan.
CMC?
Yeah, I'll take McCaffrey.
I think that one's tough because I view McCaffrey and James Cook very similarly.
I think Cook
Devon
is
Achane or CeeDee?
CeeDee.
I'll go.
See, I'd take Achane
I'd take
there.
Achane there.
Yeah,
Cook is my
especially in the
line.
PPR.
He's my running back 6, and I'd take the 5 other running backs before him.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's an interesting one. YouTube question from Brant. Why wouldn't Bo Nix and Jaylen Waddle be a top 5 stack? Why wouldn't?
Well, if Jaylen Waddle finishes as, say, the wide receiver 24, which is in his range of outcomes, not a bad year, but not great, then you're not a top 5 stack. To be one of the best stacks, you need the wide receiver to be
top 12.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Best
only reason
stacks
why.
in football right now: Burrow and Chase,
For sure.
Stafford, Puka,
Jameson,
Drake May, and maybe eventually AJ Brown.
That will be one of the best.
Hurts and Devontae Smith, Goff and Amon-Ra, Dak and CeeDee or Dak and Pickens.
Yeah, Dak and either.
Yes.
But what you're naming there is
I think Dak, CeeDee, Jamar, Burrow are my two
the
favorites.
wide receivers are absolute alphas. And so
do you believe that about Waddle?
I don't. I think he'll be the number 1 wide receiver for his team.
It's just wild because,
what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the wide receiver 7.
But that was
I know it was a
many
long time
moons
ago. It was
ago.
a long time ago. I don't look at him through that lens of primary alpha either. I do have Bo Nix higher than I expected because of Jaylen Waddle, but not as I'm targeting that stack. Sam wants to know our thoughts on 3 wide receiver leagues.
It's great. I think more depth. Whenever there's more players that you have to play, it becomes, I think, more fun. Yeah, obviously, there's a limit to that where you're playing scraps and garbage, but a 3 wide receiver league is great. I think that if you're in a super flex league, you have to have 3 wide receivers. That really helps balance it out. It makes more decision making, and the quarterbacks in a super flex league are usually a little bit overpowered. And so having more depth required to start at wide receiver means if you didn't go the quarterback route, you have more optionality. But I love three wide.
Yeah, I would say that when we did our mock draft episode on Tuesday, what jumped out is the running back cliff, and then how many totally fine wide receivers were sitting there that I when I looked back at the draft, I was like, man, I wish I had taken a running back there because I would have been totally fine with this guy here.
Which I will say that was the only thought that crossed my mind because I took CeeDee over James Cook in that question a moment ago, but it did cross my mind where it's like there is more depth of wide receiver later in the draft. So if you want to, if you're more comfortable grabbing late wide receivers versus late running backs, grabbing the running back in the first is the way you get there.
Blaze writes in from New York.
Blaze.
When you guys talk about
Laser.
Ted Hurst, I immediately think of Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Could that be a good nickname on the show?
It's 1999.
I'm sure we can get a drop.
Here's
figured
what's
out.
important to me is I'm looking at this
Limp
picture.
Bizkit.
I'm looking at this picture of
You
Fred.
telling me I get to do like Fred Durst impressions?
This is what I'm getting
in.
at. Yeah, I'm looking at this picture of Fred Durst, and I'm already seeing Halloween from one of you guys.
Oh, man.
From one of you guys, the red hat. If Mike makes that sound
Come
effect
on.
when we say Ted, when we bring up Ted Hurst,
I wish it didn't sound like an insult to nickname him Limp Bizkit. but I'm going to be honest, it does.
Because we're going to run into like, okay, here comes Limp.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a
Warning.
many ways I can go wrong.
But talking like Fred Durst will never be wrong.
We'll take it under consideration, Blaze.
Yeah.
I almost got a spit take from Jason.
The water was not in my mouth yet, but
I don't know how we don't have Fred Durst on the back wall yet. I'm really disappointed. We'll take a break and see if we can remedy that. More questions after this. Welcome back to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
What time it is.
We're in the mailbag. More questions. Maybe more nickname recommendations. We'll see. YouTube question from Dresden. Keeper league. We keep one rookie every year. Would you keep Skattebo or Emeka Egbuka?
Emeka Egbuka.
I'd keep Egbuka.
I've got both of them around 15 in their position, but one of them is not coming off of a bad injury. So I'd go Egbuka as well. Ted Hurst himself.
Ted Hurst has appeared on the back wall for those listening at home. He does bear a striking resemblance
man.
To Fred Durst.
to Fred Durst.
I'll keep workshopping this one, guys.
I just, when you think of Fred Durst, what is like the first
Touchdown! Yeah!
What is the first like actual memory you have of
Fred?
Yeah. Because I cannot, like, there was some school dance I went to where I remember walking in the.
Get him off the screen.
Come on.
There's too much.
I remember walking into this school dance, and
Right.
that was, and Limp Bizkit was playing on the speakers.
My first one at first was Faith from $6 bill, y'all.
Okay, this has to keep. Ted Hurst is screwed. Oh my goodness! Who, Jason? You love Ted Hurst?
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm fire that record up tonight, and I'll have some more for you later.
Nathan writes in, where would you rank Luther Burden if he was in this year's rookie draft? Great question. It's going to be the first round. It's going to be
very high.
Burden or Lemon at 5?
I would go Lemon. And maybe you wouldn't. Concepcion is the one where I feel like
No, give me.
I would take Burden above Lemon.
you would.
Yeah, that would be my line right there.
Yeah, so 104.
I'd take Tate and Tyson ahead of him, and I'd take him at 4.
I think I would.
But again, I don't have him ranked at 30. So
I would, as of right now, I would take him at the 104. But I do see a world where you'd be like, well, I should have traded the 102 for Luther Burden. I'm very hot and bothered by Mr. Luther.
You are. Yeah, and it'll be very interesting. I mean, there are a lot of weapons, but we don't have a problem with that in Detroit. We don't have a problem with that on the Rams. So it's, if you believe what you said about their offense being as good as it could be, no more DJ Moore, there's room. I think there's room.
I'm sure the Venn diagrams of Rome truthers and Luther doubters is a perfect circle because you're just holding on to your Roma Dunes.
Like if you have Burden at 30, and I'm not picking on that. That's fine. Your ranking is fine.
Rome better be lower.
He hasn't done. Well, no, I was going to say Rome better be super high, or Loveland has to be super high.
Yeah.
You have to have a couple of these. If you think their offense is going to be great, that would be like, going to Cincinnati and saying I got Higgins and Chase low. Like,
right.
You can't have a good offense without a huge fantasy production.
I have Mr. Loveland very high, and I've got Rome ahead of Burden. That's just how the chips fell for me when I was looking at the games played. I realized later into the season when they were a little bit closer together. But I mean, if anyone says they know for sure who's going to have more targets between Rome and Burden, you're lying. You don't know the future, and it could go either way. But I would say, to just push back a little bit on I do think the Bears offense is going to be very good, but you compared them to the Lions. Like, we don't have a problem with that with the Lions.
Well, it was a step forward comments. I mean, they're only step forward for them. They were the 6th best offense last year.
But I'm just saying Jared Goff has thrown 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, 4,600 yards, 4,500 yards the last 4 years. If Caleb can take that leap up to 4,500 yards, oh my gosh, Luther Burden's going to be amazing.
63%.
Yes. So, I mean,
a few hundred yards.
That is part of the issue for me, is just how big a step forward can Caleb Williams take?
If you only look at the games where he threw for 1,000,000 yards and you project them over the year, he throws for 1 billion yards.
That's
just so you know.
Man, that's some good analysis.
What
did Caleb Williams throw last year?
Like 39.94 or something like that. He just wanted to.
It was the. You remember when Devontae Adams had never had 1,000 yards?
Yes.
And you were like, and you're like, because he had 990 something.
Oh, I loved it when he hadn't too. I'd rub that in every week. Braden, Chase Brown or Hampton? He's back to back in our. They're back to back in our consensus rankings. You're on the clock. You've got to pull the trigger, Jason. Hampton, Chase Brown.
Why'd you say Jason?
I don't know.
I mean,
I'll tell you this: only one of us has Chase Brown higher, and it isn't me or you.
This is an easy question for me. I'll take Chase Brown.
I love both these guys, but I would go Hampton. I think
they also went back to back in our mock draft.
They are two of my favorite targets where they're going.
Like Hampton could have like a Chase Brown season if we're lucky.
Yeah. Can Chase Brown have another Chase Brown season?
He's had 2 or 1.5 if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Safest wide receiver that you would take in round 3 to be your wide receiver 1. So these are always fun questions, I think. This one's from Azerb. Azerb? Was that the name? Azerb.
All right.
Some sleeper
Okay, so
ADP wide receivers going in that range: Pickens, Olave, Rice, Brown, Higgins, Tet.
Higgins and Tet are like right on the verge.
I think the bigger question there, like I don't have a problem with Tet as my 1. I don't have a problem with Pickens as my 1. I think I get nervous about Olave.
Really? Oh, you really do. You're going to go McMillan over Olave.
I would, but I have McMillan pretty high. I mean, I do. I don't know. Like I think Olave was pretty. The touchdown numbers were getting a little wild, weren't they, last year for Olave?
Let me remember.
Yeah, he had a stretch of.
He finished the season with 9. He had a good amount of them towards the end. Yes.
Yeah, well, he scored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 7 games before the injury. You bring in Tyson, you bring in Achane Jr. He was a one-stop shop there. I feel a little more nervous about Olave when you mix injury with it too.
A.J. Brown is the easy answer, but the question is, if he's traded to New England, does he stay in the 3rd round?
I mean, I would have said Rice as well before this news, which I maybe should still say.
I think he'll be good, but the question was safest, and I would say there's nothing safe with Rice.
I feel the safest with Tet.
His youth and position is pretty secure.
Everybody else there competes with somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
they all Tet's number 1.
It's funny that the ADP I'm looking at actually has Garrett Wilson later in the 4th.
Yeah,
doesn't apply.
Fine
but
with that too.
I feel fine with Garrett Wilson as my 1.
Yeah. YouTube question from Sinji: best budget tight end for 2026 in Dynasty. Obviously, you have the top guys in McBride, Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Fannin, but they're expensive, hard to acquire. Who's your surprise top 10 tight end this year? Last year, Juwan, Ferguson, Goddard, Henry all snuck into the top 10.
Chig.
Yeah, if you're going with the budget tight end, nice. Okonkwo could be someone who.
Okonkwo.
Yes,
that's.
I think that's the bit.
I have Henry at 9.
Henry feels,
and I hate it.
So the Henry feels
and Schultz
safe.
At 10.
But they feel like real safe. They're going to be 9 or they're going to be right around there. If Okonkwo hits,
it's better than those guys.
I think that the ceiling is much higher.
I mean, Ferguson could be an answer to that.
He needs George or CeeDee to not play.
I mean, I still think. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, dude, the numbers when they're both on the field.
I know, but he got banged up, didn't he? I thought Ferguson got banged up.
I don't recall. He played all 17, if that's what you mean by banged up.
Definitely what I mean. No, I mean, he had a tight end 7, 9, 12.
He is very, very capable.
Just the word budget came to mind when I think about Henry, Schultz, Ferguson. They're out there on a lot of snaps. Brenton Strange could be in that category.
Brenton Strange will have spike weeks, but he just doesn't seem like someone who's going to – he won't overtake all the other guys.
Do you have any other names, Jason?
I don't know. Maybe with the arrival of Njoku, Gadsden could be budget. In a dynasty league, I'm certainly still very in on Ariana Gadsden.
Nice. And then don't forget about Greg Dulcich. This is super budget.
Deep, super budget.
They were in the super budget area here.
I mean, that's like waivers on Dynasty.
Right, but he is at Miami. He finished, these aren't like sensational numbers, but 41 yards, 46, 58. If you're doing that all year long, that's a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and no one's drafting him. And
they don't have anybody.
What if Malik Willis is truly good, and then who's the number one option there? Besides Achane.
The Malik Willis discussion is just – that one's like totally funny to me because all the evidence we have is that Malik Willis can play quarterback.
Well,
that's the evidence we have. We just don't have much of it.
On Green Bay.
On Green Bay, yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. I mean, the only thing that we can point to possibly for Malik Willis is what he did on the field. He didn't get to choose how often he played.
But he played the only team he played for.
Yeah.
Okay, in recent history, I mean,
now those are some qualifiers.
you want to go back to rookie year Malik? He didn't get signed off of that, right? He got signed off of what he did in Green Bay. I just think it's funny. This is exactly my point. Thank you for making it for me. You can't talk about him doing well. Nobody's allowing it. Oh, he played really good. Oh, it's only 3 games. Oh, he played really well. Oh, but what about before he played well? Like way back in the past, like 4 years ago as a rookie on a different team. I just think it's funny. Nobody can acknowledge that Malik Willis can throw the football.
I can acknowledge it.
Even though teams fought for him in free agency.
I can acknowledge that he can run the football very well.
Oh, my gosh. Did he play well in his Green Bay starts?
Yes.
Did he throw the ball well?
Yes, he did.
Yes, but not for fantasy purposes.
No, just for real life.
No, I mean,
the
whole point of this conversation was supporting the tight end of Greg Dulcich. I don't think he's going to throw prolifically for a bunch of yards. That's my point.
Based on
even if he's
you're basing that on
the evidence of Green Bay. I mean, he wasn't putting up huge yardage numbers, was he?
He got to start one game last year. He threw for 288 yards. Is that good enough?
What about his other 2 starts?
He didn't have any more last year. The year before was 122 and 202, and that was the beginning of the previous year. I don't know.
I mean,
the door is not allowed to be cracked open for Malik Willis to throw for 300 yards. That's what I think is hilarious.
I'm not as bullish as you are. I'm
not saying he will.
I'm not out. But what?
Hold on. I'm not bullish. I'm not saying he's going to do it. I'm saying that I'm open to the idea.
As am I.
Okay.
Okay.
I think he's
due to the evidence of him doing it. I'm open to him doing it.
He is a great late round pick.
Do you think he will do it?
I'll tell you what I haven't projected for. How about that? Wouldn't that be the best evidence?
That is the best evidence.
The best evidence.
I hope I haven't projected
3,951 yards passing.
3,900. Okay, so you definitely
you think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Is that what I said? Is that what that means?
Yeah. You have him throwing for – that's more than Caleb Williams threw last year, right?
No.
What?
That's right around there.
Yeah.
Caleb
I think
Williams.
it's about 5 yards more. I think it was
39.51 divided by 17 is 232 a week. Whoop-de-doo.
Well, I mean, you heard it here from Andy Holloway. Malik Willis, greater sign Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
More prolific passer.
Just as a passer.
Chicago makes it feel like you can't – like that's a big number. Chicago makes you feel like 4,000 is impossible. You have hundreds of players do this all the time.
I will say, let's see. Last year there was only 6 of them.
Oh, shut up, Mike.
There were injuries. Like Burrow definitely would have been a 4,000-yard guy.
Uh-huh.
Lamar maybe.
Yeah, cool.
Just saying.
I wanted to try to find the – so there were 6 last year over 4,000?
Correct.
It's probably a tall task.
It's funny because 4,000 doesn't sound like a lot.
I mean, it's 230 a week. I mean, that's what it is. It's 230 a week.
I don't disagree with the math.
We always joke about like 202 is a good streaming quarterback number.
Yeah, it's just the.
I am not nerfing numbers as we speak. Al sees me over here. He thinks I'm tweaking my numbers down. Malik Willis, for the record, is my quarterback 15 in 6-point leagues. Don't ask me about.
And in 4?
Don't ask me about 4-point.
I love
leagues.
that you preempted what you knew was coming.
He's number 6.
Yeah. If he throws for 4,000 yards, he's going to be
39.51.
That is for sure.
How dare you?
I'll tell you what. If he throws for 3,700,
he will
be a top 6 quarterback.
Such a good pick.
Remember this.
Do it, Willis.
Remember this under one circumstance. That he does it. All right? We're done. Oh, no, get that off of me.
The spotlight is on.
All I was doing is trying to defend the honor of this man who got a big contract.
You defended it
only for playing well. And nobody acknowledges the chance for 230 yards. You're crazy. He's going to be on my team, apparently.
Yeah.
And that is it for today's episode. Fantasy wildcards on our next.
I saw Max Hall beat the New Orleans Saints.
He didn't get paid $500 bazillion in the offseason. Fantasy wildcards on Tuesday. The Ultimate Draft Kit is 11 days away. Pre-order it at ultimatedraftkit.com. You do not want to lose at your draft. That is the foundation you get to set for your entire year. Tons of tools. We've been building out the UDK for over 10 years now, adding more and more resources, making it easier and easier to use. The apps, the online experience, all of our sleepers, breakouts, busts, and values that we all agree on are inside of that tool. We've got so many new things coming. You do not want to miss out on it, and it's pre-order price. So ultimatedraftkit.com. I'm going to go figure out this whole Malik Willis situation, maybe buy a jersey apparently. I don't know. But we're saying goodbye. So thank you for joining us for the Fantasy Footballers. Farewell.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.